Hello, squirrels. Today's guest on Blind Squirrel Talk, famous in a small town, is Missy Wasendorf. As owner of BeeChick, Missy has added a thriving business to the landscape of Maysville, Georgia. From gift shopping to exciting classes on everything from painting to bread making, Missy now offers an exciting destination for people looking to learn a new skill, purchase gifts for friends, family, or maybe their home. We are so excited for you to meet Missy Wasendorf.
Also, don't forget to find us on Facebook and Instagram at Blind Squirrel Talk and on X at Blind Squirrel PC. If you enjoy the show, please remember to leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you write us a review there or leave us a comment on Spotify or YouTube, we'll read it out on a future episode of the show.
Everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Blind Squirrel Talk. Well, we're doing a series famous in a small town. I'm Lulu.
I'm Kim.
And guess what? We have Missy
Wasendorf.
Yeah, because I didn't want to mess that
Pronounced like it's spelled.
And she has one of our newer businesses in Maysville. We're just so excited to have her here today, and we want to share all of her information with you. So, Missy, do you live in Maysville too?
I do live in Maysville.
Yeah?
I do. Yes,
Yeah.
We've been here for about 3 years.
Where do you live?
We live off of Unity Church Road.
Okay.
Yeah. So we built out
Near
there.
the church?
Yes, actually right near the church.
Okay.
So we built a barn dominium out there and
Ooh, I want to
have-
see
Ooh,
that.
I want to see that.
I wish I would come. I would love it. But they're, my daughter built out there with us, and now my parents are building. So because I'm trying to get
Perfect,
them closer to me. So.
Yeah. So where did you live before Maysville?
We
why
lived-
did you decide to come to Maysville?
We lived in Decula for 14 years, and that's where we raised our daughters. So we have 3 daughters, and they started moving. Our oldest daughter moved to Commerce, and then our other daughter had gone to Truett McConnell College, and so she was out this way and ended up in Gainesville. And then our youngest went to college in South Carolina, and so she ended up in South Carolina. So we wanted to come more this way because it was just taking. It was too far. And, you know, with me being, a mom of girls, they were having babies and wanted me to be close. So we were trying
The most important thing.
It is, right. And so I wanted to be able to help them. And so we made the decision at that time to move further away from my parents and closer to my girls because at the time they needed me. And now my parents have gotten to where they need me. So now the other transition is them coming here, so.
Are they in Decula? Where are your parents?
My parents are in Loganville.
Okay.
Where's Loganville?
I know. and they come out quite often, but, it's hard.
That's a haul.
It
That's a
is,
haul.
especially as you get older and driving traffic and stuff, so.
So why Maysville? How did you find us? Because most people say we're a pass-through because you just pass through. Nobody stops. But we're changing that.
Right. The funny thing is we had actually looked at land, or actually looked at a house somewhere in downtown years ago, about 14 or 15 years ago when we started looking into Decula to buy. We looked here first. So I don't know why, or we just loved it. It was a quaint small town, and we were like, this is awesome. I mean, I love that. I love the homey, feel and the quaintness of it. But so when we started looking again, we looked around and we decided on Maysville because it was closer towards our girls. Yeah. But it was still a small town without being, too rushed and too busy. Because as we get older, we don't want that. So.
No. we don't want that when we're younger.
Young either, right?
Tell us about your business and how you decided to move away from, you were in Commerce, correct?
I was in Commerce, and I enjoyed it there. It was good. But I did mostly painting, and I paint furniture for a living, and I build stuff, and I have classes and things like that. And in Commerce, when I sell paint, I have to be open 4 days a week. And so right now, the stage I'm in, I can't be open 4 days a week because I'm helping with the grandkids and then my parents. And so I knew I needed a change. And so my husband said, well, why don't you look into Maysville and just get somewhere closer? And then if you do, eventually things pick up a little bit, you can start having the store open, more often and stuff. And so that's basically how I ended up here. So
awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about your shop and your classes. And
okay, so in my classes, I teach painting furniture, like a 101 class. And then as people learn and decide that they like this, or they've watched YouTube videos or whatever it is, then they'll come to me and say, Missy, I want to learn how to blend furniture, or I want to blend paint, I want to, do decoupage, and they'll have all these things, these extras that we call them extras, not just plain painting, but extra stuff that they want to do to their pieces. And so I teach them anything that they want to know, because I've been in it since 2017, so it's been a long time. So feels like a long time anyway. So I've been doing it a long time.
So how did you get into it?
So I got into it the same way. I started, I was staying home with my girls and raising the family, and I wanted to be able to make my house look good, but didn't want to spend a fortune, and everything was so expensive. And we were, my husband was working, and I was trying to stay home to be with them. And so just to have extra income and stuff, I thought, well, I'll just start doing this. And then once I started doing it, I loved it, and decided that I would, try to advance my career and get a booth and, have, sell some pieces and stuff. And then once I started doing that, that's when we decided to sell paint, because obviously that would be a discount for me, as well as me being able, I love people and I love to socialize. So it was nice for me to be able to talk to them and, let them, if they want to have a business and they want to buy the paint and, sell pieces or whatever, I can help them do that. And I love that. So
have you discovered that Maysville, you're still getting as much business, say, as you did in Commerce?
Well, I'm not, but only because I'm not open all the time.
Okay.
And that's partly my fault right now. I'm trying to get through the building process with my parents. So we've got a little bit longer, but I'm thinking by the time I'm ready, because I am open most Saturdays, but because that's when I hold my classes generally. Sometimes I have them during the week, but it just depends on everybody's schedule, because I'm usually trying to be flexible with that. So I think as it grows, it'll get better.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry I missed out on the sourdough class.
I wanted to do that too.
Well, she's planning on doing it once a month, I think is kind of what she's thinking. Maybe not July, because July, everybody's still traveling and then trying to start back school. But, so we'll have that class. We've had a cookie decorating class. We've had the canvas painting classes, which I told you they're, right now she's moving away. But she's promised me that during, the fall and several times a year, she'll come back and do a class. So it's not like we're not going to have her. It's just not going to be every month anymore. Right. So,
but it seems like you have really big turnouts.
Oh, yes. I've had, usually it's at least 30 people. And so I've had to, pull out more chairs and stuff like that, which is wonderful. And then, some of the smaller, when I teach painting, I don't want a big class. It's too hard. It's too many people. And, everybody needs space to, So I usually do between 4 and 8 at the most for those. And I like that part better.
So as far as the painting of the furniture, is that the technique with the chalk paint and all that?
It is, yes. We have several different, I sell several different brands. And there's some chalk paint. And then there's some other newer things that are, like an all-in-one kind of paint and stuff like that. So, like cabinet paints. A lot of people come in and say, I want to paint my cabinets. And, years ago they would say, well, you have to sand all that off and then you have to paint. And it's not that way anymore. So I instruct them on how to do it and how to get a perfect finish without having to spray it, or they can use a brush. I mean, it's not like they have to do.
Gosh, I need to come to that.
I started to say, so Kim or I, we could actually do our
absolutely.
cabinets.
Anybody could. My mom, and she's 75-ish, she painted her bathroom cabinets. And so, I'm like, okay, if you can do it, because that's what she said. Once she painted those, she thought, well, I'll start with the downstairs bathroom where nobody, uses that. So she did that, and she loved it. So then she started painting side tables and lamps and all kinds of stuff. So you kind of get addicted to it.
So let's say I wanted to redo my kitchen. I want to paint my cabinets. What would be the process I would follow? And especially for newbies like us, I mean, because we potentially could ruin the whole house.
That's right.
That's where it happens, is your kitchen.
It is.
So how would a person even go about that? I mean, how would you teach them to do that?
Yeah, so most of the time I specifically ask them to come in and take a class, because there are certain products that you're going to use, and so when you take a basic painting class, you can take the chalk painting class, but I usually recommend a more durable paint for the cabinets. And you can use chalk paint. There's a whole lot more to that than that, but they would basically come in and take a class, and they would learn to clean their cabinets. They would learn to, there's a little bit of sanding, but not like you have to scrub it all off. You know what I mean?
The hardest.
Prep is really the biggest thing, and that's what I tell people. If you do not prep, I don't care what it is. I don't care if you're painting a lamp or a table or cabinets. Prep is everything, and if you don't use the right tools, if you don't use the right paint, and if you don't prep it correctly, then it doesn't matter what you do, it's not going to adhere. But if you do the right steps and the way I tell you to do it, then anybody, I think, can be successful. And I think that's the biggest thing is I want people to come in, because I had a lady, for instance, who I met at one of my booths the other day, and she'd been painting for a long time, and she said, I don't really care for the chalk paint because it's a little bit harder to get smooth. And I'm like, well, tell me what you mean, because like I can tell you how to get it smooth. And so we started talking a little bit, and then we started talking about her brush, and she was like, not using the greatest brush. Well, if you're painting, if you're doing anything, your tools are everything. And if you don't have a really great brush, you're going to regret it, because you're going to have, bristles that come out, or it's not going to be, it's going to be streaky or whatever. And she messaged me yesterday and said the brush made all the difference. Aww. And I said, I told you, it really does make a difference. And if you invest in good stuff, then over time, I have some of my brushes I've had 5 or 7 years. It's like they just last because you take care of them. They're good stuff. You can buy a cheaper brush, but in the end, you're going to replace it anyway. You know what I mean? So, and you're going to kind of regret it. So,
So for a typical kitchen, how much time would it take to redo that? And do you have to take the doors off?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that's the biggest thing, is taking the doors off, which is intimidating for people. But what I tell people too is a lot of times, like when you're thinking about a kitchen, a lot of times you're painting an outdated something, right? Okay. Well, a lot of times the hinges and the doorknobs are no longer your style. Right. They're not the same color that you like or whatever. So you've got to take those off anyway. So why not go ahead and do it while you're painting? So you take it off. There's a numbering system that you would use. You take them off and you clean everything just like you normally would. And then basically what I tell people is, like, depending on the size of your kitchen and how quickly you need it back. That's your biggest thing. Because when I painted my kitchen, it wasn't super large, but I looked at it like, okay, I'm painting this on the bottom is a dresser. This on top is a dresser. You know what I mean? Right. I was thinking of it like in small sections, like, and if you do it that way, you can still use your kitchen and you're not intimidated. You can get it done, and it's, so much better than if you just say, okay, I'm taking off all the doors today, and then, you're starting.
That's what I did one time. It took me forever.
That's what I'm saying. And then you get discouraged because nobody can do, I don't care who you are. You cannot paint all of that because, there's several levels to do it. You got to clean it, all these things. You can't do that in a few days. It's going to take weeks or maybe in a month. But if you do a little section at a time, okay, this week I'm doing this section. I'm going to get that completely finished, and then I'm going to do that section, And that's how I tell people. And I think that works out better instead of, and then they, call somebody and you pay twice as much because they have to come fix what you've messed up,
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
But that would be a lot more cost-effective than replacing cabinets.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I tell people. Some of the paint that, that I suggest is a little bit higher, but it comes with, like, the top coat already in it. So it's less steps, It dries harder. It's like, a very durable, something that you could wipe down.
Doesn't chip as easily.
That's right. Something that you want in your kitchen. Like, you don't want to just put, like, you would never just paint them chalk paint and never put a top coat on them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You need to make sure that they do, have everything that's durable.
So do people come to you and say, can you come out to my house and tell me what I did wrong and fix it?
Yes, I do. I have a lot.
You do?
You would not believe, my husband laughs at me because he's like, when we go on vacation, I bring my calendar with me and I'm like, talking on the phone and talking to people all the time. But I tell people that's part of what I do, and why I love it is because I want them to call me and say, okay, tell me about this. Tell me how to do this. What am I thinking? Because I always say, call me before you do it as opposed to after. Because if you call me after, I can help you, but like if you say, well, I've used this product and I've used this product, and it might not be something that I know, I can't really help you. But if you say, how do I paint my cabinets? Then I can say, okay, this is your steps. This is what you do, blah, 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 And it helps them, so.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, tell us how you feel about our little downtown and what you do to make it better.
Oh, I love the feel of it. I know that a lot of people want it to grow, and I do. I want it to grow as well. But I think we can let it grow and still have that small town feel, And I think one of the biggest things for me is, getting in there and teaching the people that are in the town to, you know what, if there is a coffee shop, go buy coffee. If you want to paint your cabinets, come to me. Don't go to the big box store. Come to me and let me help you. That's right. Shop local. Go to the Mexican restaurant. Eat with him. Go to the barbecue place. Shop at these little shops. Go to Amy's and buy your clothes. Be supportive, because that's the only way that we're going to grow. And then when people see that, okay, this is bringing more people to town, then other things will come. It's not going to just happen overnight. And I expect can't expect that, but I think it has potential.
What would you like to see?
Oh, I would love another coffee shop. That's that's a big deal for me. And I would love like a coffee shop with like music on Friday nights or on the weekends or something. Just something that you could listen to. I mean, y'all have that sort of here. So it's like, anything like that would draw people in and make it feel like a community, without having to drive somewhere to do it.
I agree.
Things for kids, like I say all the time, I think we need a play set out in the front out here, because like when my grandkids come, they're playing inside, but like they need to get their energy out. But like when we have events, to have a play set out there with a fence around it or something, so you don't have to worry about traffic, but just something to entertain them a little bit.
We should talk to our city council
We
people.
should.
That's a great idea.
Actually,
really.
I wonder why nobody's even mentioned that, because that's a great idea.
I just think of it all the time, because I think, that also draws people in. Because if you see a little park, you think, okay, that's a park and there's benches, but if you see a bench with a play set, that mom's going to come and she's going to, or even, and this is a little stretching, but like a splash pad for the kids in the summer.
I want that.
I do too. I mean, I think something like that, like there's, I have to take my grandkids to the one in Brazelton. It's free. There's some around I think you have to pay for, but I know. But I'm like, it's not, it's not very big. It's, like the size of a carpet. It's very, very small, but it's perfect for kids. I mean, it's something great, and it draws people in, once again.
And actually, that would be cute out there, too, because it'd be like a fountain entrance to our city. That's a great idea.
Yeah, things like that. I love ice cream, so I think
me too.
we all need an ice cream shop. Things that you would do, because in the wintertime, yes, you do get coffee and you still go eat and you shop. But, what do you do in the summer?
Right.
You spend time with your family. So, and, days are long. So you want to be outside. You want to listen to music. You want to eat ice cream. You want to, do the things,
Right.
And why not do it here?
My wheels are turning. We need a playground now.
Oh, I can tell you lots of things.
Oh, please do.
Lots of suggestions.
We're all ears.
Yeah. But, just, anything that's going to make it feel more like people want to go there, and not like, you're, driving 3 hours to get here, but our people, our people, what's drawing, do you want to stay at your house, or, is it okay to go? And you don't have to spend money, go and let your kids play at the park. That's not spending money. That's, not everybody has that right now. Groceries are high,
Right.
You don't have gas money and grocery money and all that, but you could go to your local park and let your kids play,
Pack a picnic, let the kids play on the swing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Things like that, so.
Because remember growing up when you got to go on a picnic?
Yes.
That was a big deal.
Right.
That was a big deal.
My grandmother would pack us up in an adult tricycle. I'd be in the back with our sack lunch, and amazingly, she would climb trees. She would do all kinds of my grandmother.
Aw.
It was fond memories. It was something I'm doing now with my grandkids.
See, I love that.
Without the tricycle.
In a small town.
Yeah.
I also think that, I would love to have, I couldn't do it this year because I've got too much going, but I would love to see a garden club. I love to garden. I love flowers. I love,
A yard of the month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or,
It'll
be
encourage
fun.
people to do more, to take pride in their property.
And to teach people. I love square foot gardening, and not everybody knows what that is. But
I
when you-
don't. What is that?
Okay, so square foot gardening is you can do it lots of different ways, but the way I do it is you actually get 4x4 boards, you're making 4x4 squares, and you have as many as so many per people in your home, I guess. And then you plant according to once you've laid out the square, then you break it down into grids. And so this square would be tomatoes and this square would be, does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's kind of, but you can grow so much in a small area, and you're not wasting seed. You know, a lot of times, you know, you put out a whole row of corn or you put out a whole row of this or whatever, and you may get it. And this, you don't put out rows, you put it in squares, and then you know what you've planted. Okay, I've planted 9 squash plants, or I've planted 9, that's wrong because squash really is one big one, but anyway, but you know what I mean? Like you plant 9.
Pepper plants,
yeah.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you know, okay, well, if I see something that's coming up that's not in those holes that I did, that's a weed. And the soil is so rich and so nutrient, you know, because it's compost and it's, you know, it's like all kinds of great things. Every year you just add compost to it. And if you see weeds, you just pluck them. Whereas, you know, there's no hoeing involved, which I don't have time for that, you know. But the stuff that you can grow is amazing. And I think it's worth talking about.
Have you had time for that this year?
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
You should do that as a class.
That's what I wanted to, and then all this stuff started happening with my mom and dad building. But I did help my daughter, so she already has her little garden growing. I go over and look at hers. I'm like, I'm so sad.
Will you share?
But I do have mine laid out. I'm just instead of normally I would plant seeds and let that grow because I love watching that process. But instead, I'm just going to buy plants at this point. So it's okay. You do what you have to do.
That's right.
You know, and if anything grows, I'll be thrilled. So.
So how many of the 4x4s do you have, or would you have?
I would have about 3 for just the 2 of us.
And that gets you veggies all through the summer?
Yes, and the good thing about square foot gardening is it teaches you that you can have a garden throughout the year.
Oh.
Yes, because, you know, a lot of people are like, okay, well, it's summer's up and I can't do anything else. No, now you start planting your cold weather vegetables, like your lettuce and your, you know how people say, oh, I got to plant my greens and I got to do all, that's what you
Collards.
do. Yes. You know, and so things like that you learn, you know, to basically you're rotating your crops all throughout, you know, the season.
Which keeps that soil just so fertile.
That's right. Exactly. And so it's just something I like.
We'll have to do that.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, you need to sign us up. You need to have a class.
Or
I need to.
Maybe one of your classes should be square foot gardening at Veterans Park and just be something that, go before city council, see if you can do it. Just leave it set up and be a teachable moment, not only for adults, but you can have the schools come by and, you know, teach the kids and then go home and teach their parents.
Right. The other thing I love to do is I love woodworking. So I make like farmhouse tables and things like that. I do all kinds of stuff. But I just recently made planters for my ferns, you know. And so I would like to do a class on, you know, making planters. Not like people come and cut wood. I would probably do all that ahead of time because, you know, liability. But have all the wood cut, and all they would really have to do is screw the wood together and you know, that kind of thing. But then they could paint it or stain it or whatever they wanted to at home. So things like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to go plant a garden now.
You're a jack of all trades.
And paint the cabinets.
I have too many things I like to do. I think that's the problem.
That's always a good thing.
It is.
That's always a good thing.
But not enough time. I'm not good at time management at times, so.
I never
Got a
am.
lot going on.
I do. I have too much going on. I feel like all the time. So that's, like I said, that's one reason the business is a little bit slower, and that's okay. I think there's seasons for stuff. So
Yeah.
Well, when you add your parents to the mix, that's
right.
another layer of.
It is, and it's important to me. So, you know, I can't stress that enough. Like, this is the reason I want them here. It's going to be harder for me, but in the long run, you know, I want their last years to be enjoyable and memorable for all of us, you know.
Well, maybe we can get them involved in the square foot gardening.
I know. Oh, my dad would love that for sure. He loves to talk to people, so.
Aw.
I said, he likes to tinker on lawnmowers, and my mom said, you should tell him to go teach a class on how to change oil or do, you know, something to do with a lawnmower, how to restring your weed eater. I mean, how many times, you know, people are like, I don't know how to do that.
Frustrating. I hate
Me too. And that's what I said, oh, no, I'd just pay him to do it.
That would be a good class.
I know.
Though.
I mean, I know that sounds, but there are things that I think, you know, nowadays people don't learn in schools that, you know, that are good skills that you need in your home that, you know, or outside of your home that, you know, that we don't get anymore. So.
Right. Well, we're tickled you joined us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. Well, we want everybody to know how to get in touch with you and how they can maybe hear about your future classes, if they have any questions or whatever they're interested in taking, maybe individual lessons. How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I am on Facebook. BeeChick Barnyard is my name, and or my business. And then I also have a website. It's BeeChickBarnyard.com. And so that's where they can go and look at the classes. They can buy paint online if they want to and do a local pickup.
Okay.
Or, like I said, all my classes are on there, so they can sign up there and see what's available. So.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Missy, we appreciate you coming by today. And y'all, please, please get in touch with Missy. Stop by and look at her shop. It's beautiful on the inside. You've got some really great pieces in there. Some
thank
cute
you.
stuff, too.
And you
Really
do
cute
have
stuff.
a retail in there, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, lots of. Have you seen all this stuff in there? It's so
I
cute.
looked through the window. You weren't open, but I was like, oh
Well,
my
she got
God.
in there. I know. I know.
It's
It
cute.
always changes, so yeah.
Yeah. So stop by, and thanks for everybody for being here. And we'll see y'all again on our next edition of Blind Squirrel Talk, Famous in a Small Town. Thanks,
See ya.
Missy.
Thank you.
Bye.